Florian Wirtz is not worth the money. He will never be able to handle the physical fights and the intensity of the Premier League. He is the flop of the season with no debate. Well, that game and that result were a perfect answer to all of that. It felt like a performance that not only put us back on track, but also shut up the rival fans who kept doubting Florian and tried to label him a flop this early into his Premier League journey. Now guys, we know it was only West Ham. To be honest, they even made things a bit easier for us at times, especially before we scored the first goal. But we all know there is no easy match in the Premier League, especially when you are playing away from home. So getting a win, keeping a clean sheet, and watching some of our under pressure players finally show their real level felt like the perfect way to hopefully push us in the right direction again. So if you want to hear more about our first win in what feels like forever, make sure to hit the like and subscribe buttons and let us get straight into it. Like we always do, let us start with the first team that Arne Slot picked. Alisson stayed in goal, and the backline kept most of its usual faces, with Milos Kerkez, Virgil van Dijk, and Ibrahima Konate all keeping their spots. The surprise in our defense was the return of Joe Gomez at right back. We cannot lie, it felt great seeing Joe back in the team again. And he even finished his solid performance with what might honestly be the assist of the century. The midfield stayed the same with Ryan Gravenberch, Alexis McAllister and Dominik Szoboszlai. Up front we had Cody Gakpo, Florian Wirtz and Alexander Isak. Of course these positions were very fluid, especially Flo and Zobo, so let us look at how that actually worked on the pitch and how it shaped the game. Earlier we mentioned that West Ham made things easier for us. The main reason is that they put almost no pressure on our first line of build-up before we scored the opening goal. This gave us the freedom to push more players forward, especially both fullbacks in Kerkez and Gomez. It also gave us the chance to switch between two different build-up shapes depending on where the space was and who was dropping into midfield. Here you can see us using a 2-2 box shape in the build-up, with McAllister drifting wider and dropping a little deeper while the fullbacks pushed higher up the pitch. This aggressive use of the fullbacks pinned West Ham's wide players back, and with Wirtz constantly moving around and dragging his marker out of position, he opened space for Gravenberch to step into the middle. From there, Gravenberch could carry the ball forward or look for passes into the wingers, which kept the whole attack flowing. In another sequence, you can see us switch into a 3-1 build-up shape, with McAllister acting almost like a third centre-back. The structure looked a little different, but the ideas stayed the same. You can clearly see the counter movement between Wirtz and Gakpo as they created space for each other and for Gravenberch as well. In this same moment, Wirtz slipped into an empty pocket and played a quick bounce pass into Gravenberch, who carried the ball through the middle and pushed the attack forward. Now we can all agree that this was our best performance in terms of keeping the ball and creating the little gaps we needed to attack. But we also have to remember that this was a struggling West Ham side. There is still plenty of work that needs to be done, and we cannot act like everything is suddenly perfect. The intentions were promising though. There was a lot less use of Kerkez as a third centre-back, which has been hurting our build-up quality in recent weeks. Instead, he spent more time higher up the pitch, which is where he is at his best. Wirtz, on the other hand, who was our man of the match even if he missed that chance, showed exactly what he brings. His constant movement off the ball, which we have been talking about since last summer, was on full display. His football IQ is something else, and giving him the freedom to move around is something we have to keep doing. But if we want to get the very best out of him in the final third, we need to keep using him in that left half space. We said this in an earlier video, and the proof was right there in his pre-assist for our first goal. It all started with a long throw in, which was nice to see because it feels like we are finally catching up with this trend in the Premier League. Wirtz collected the second ball right on the edge of West Ham's box. After a small dribble, where we admit he almost lost control for a second, he slipped a beautiful outside of the foot pass between their defenders to send Gakpo through. From there, Cody picked out Isak, who has finally arrived with his first Premier League goal of the season. That first time finish is exactly what we want to keep seeing from the Swedish striker, and hopefully this one is the first of many for him in this campaign. Now, the performance was not as good on the ball after we scored. We dropped back a little and let West Ham grow into the game. The good thing was that Paqueta seemed desperate to get himself sent off, and he eventually did. As Arne said in his press conference, they did not create anything meaningful, and even when they finally got a chance, they did not score from their first shot like what happened to us in some of our recent matches. Thankfully, Gomez showed his creative side and produced a gorgeous assist for Gakpo, who finished it well to put the game to bed. We know it was just a good cross, but we love Gomez, so for us it was a generational assist. Again, the performance was not flawless. There were some problems with our pressing, and our final third play lacked clean execution, which mostly comes down to the players in those moments, but we will leave that for another day. What we do want to talk about though is Mo Salah. The Egyptian was benched for the first time in a long while in a Premier League match, and to be completely honest, we looked more compact defensively, with Szoboszlai helping cover that right side along with Gomez. This is not taking anything away from Salah. He is a club legend and he is still here giving everything. But this benching felt like something that had been coming for a while with the way he has been playing recently. With the African Cup coming soon, it also felt like the right moment to start getting used to what life might look like without him. The problem for him is that, as we said, we looked more solid without the ball, and dare we say, we even looked more dangerous with it. That brings up the big question. Is this the beginning of the end for our Egyptian king? And if that is the case, can he still give us one last great run this season before we maybe say goodbye? So that wraps up another game, and honestly it feels good to finally talk about a win again. It was not perfect and no one should pretend it was, but it was a step in the right direction, and sometimes that is all you need to build something stronger. What matters now is that we keep this momentum going. We need the players to stay switched on, keep the same energy and show the same hunger in the next match. If we can do that, then maybe this really can be the start of a better run for us. There were a lot of positives to take from this performance. Wirtz looked bright and confident, Kerkez played in his natural zones, Gomez returned with a smile and a beautiful assist, and Isak finally got his first goal of the season. At the same time, there are still things that need fixing. The pressing needs more coordination, the final third actions need cleaner decisions, and we still have to figure out what the future looks like with Salah, especially after tonight. But that is football. You take the good moments, you accept the bad ones, and you keep moving forward. Now we're curious to hear from you guys. Who impressed you the most in this match? Do you think this is the start of something better, or was it just a one-off because of how poor West Ham were? And what would you do with Salah moving forward? Does he stay in the lineup, or should he come off the bench more often? Let us know your thoughts in the comments, and if you enjoyed the video, make sure to like and subscribe. I will see you in the next one.